New Mexico has been home to indigenous communities for over 2,500 years, with ancient structures still lived in today. Its history is rich and its landscapes are stunning. Yet last year, only 1,389 people moved there, compared to Florida's 318,885. So why does nobody want to live in New Mexico? New Mexico is the fifth largest state in the U.S., covering over 121,000 square miles, about 3 times the size of Georgia. But with just 17 people per square mile, it's one of the least densely populated states. Despite having over 300 days of sunshine a year and some of the most stunning landscapes, the state's population has barely budged. At just over 2.1 million residents, New Mexico ranks 36th in population. Albuquerque and Santa Fe bring in plenty of tourists with their mix of Native American, Spanish, and Mexican history. But getting people to stick around is another story. First things first, New Mexico's crime rate is more than double the national average, which is the biggest deterrent for people wanting to live here. In the city of Gallup, you have a 1 in 23 chance of being a victim of a property crime, and a 1 in 58 chance of being a victim of a violent crime. Compared to New York City, that's only a 1 in 192 chance of being the victim of a violent crime. Less than 1 in 3 New Mexicans feel safe in their state. However, New Mexico is not yet out of luck. Violent crime has fallen sharply in the state over the past few years. As people flee during one of the biggest mass exodus of New York and California, perhaps they'll go to greener, or turquoise, pastures in New Mexico. Another reason New Mexico struggles to attract new residents is its job market. New Mexico's unemployment rate has been typically higher than average, but that is changing fast. The state's unemployment of 3.5% is at a 20-year low, but it isn't even in the top 30 when you compare it to other places. This isn't bad news. There's more to job opportunities than unemployment. The challenge is that most jobs in New Mexico fall within 3 major sectors: industry, agriculture, and customer service. These are important fields, but they leave little room for people seeking employment in other industries, making it harder to attract a diverse workforce. Poverty is another huge issue. As the median household income in New Mexico is $54,020, much less than the national average of $70,784. The state's per capita income is just $29,624, and its poverty rate stands at 19.1%, significantly higher than the national average of 13.4%. This ongoing issue has made it difficult for many families to break out of the cycle of poverty. What's especially concerning is the gap in poverty rates between native and non-native communities. Indigenous children in New Mexico face significant challenge as they are 40% more likely to live in poverty compared to other children in the state. New Mexico also has a substance abuse crisis, often linked to poverty rates in the state. Alcohol and drugs are the leading causes of death in New Mexico. This number is on the rise, and the state also has the nation's highest alcohol-related death rate. New Mexicans are among the most likely of any people from any ethnic or racial background to die from a drug or alcohol-related death in any state. Even more concerning, New Mexican teens have some of the highest rates of drug use in the nation, with 1 in 4 high school students admitting to using marijuana in the past 30 days, as of 2016. The state also struggles with education, ranking last in the country. Only 86.5% of students graduate high school, and less than 30% of people have a bachelor's degree. These challenges make it hard for the state to improve opportunities for its residents. New Mexico is called the land of enchantment. From its mountains to the red rocks and white sands, the state is arguably one of the most beautiful and diverse in the country. It has endless vines of lush vineyards and stunning mountain views. Unfortunately, the vast majority of New Mexico's cities are located in semi-desert areas, but the semi-desert landscape hides a darker story: its role as a nuclear testing ground. The Trinity test, the world's first detonation of an atomic bomb, occurred here in 1945, scattering radiation across the state's plains. This legacy lingers, with some areas still grappling with environmental and health concerns tied to the fallout. The rugged vastness might hold an otherworldly charm, but for the people of New Mexico, the combination of desolation and radioactive history can be a real problem. So even though New Mexico is the 5th largest state, it's sparsely populated. Albuquerque International Airport serves less than 25 destinations nationwide, which means if you move from out of state, getting home will likely require a layover. Although the airport has the word international in its title, there are currently no commercial international flights in or out of New Mexico. Aside from Albuquerque, there are only small regional airports, which makes flight prices skyrocket and limits which airlines you can fly. Even flying into Santa Fe will be more expensive than Albuquerque. If you are flying from another rural state, this may not bother you, but if you're coming from the vicinity of any major city, you will know how spoiled you are to be able to travel with ease. Another reason why nobody likes living in New Mexico is the weather. The state has a monsoon season from June to September, where heavy rains soak the dry landscapes and lead to flash floods. Flooding can happen any time of the year, but is especially common in May and June. New Mexicans also pay nearly twice the national average for homeowners insurance due to these weather extremes. And let's not forget about the haboobs, dust storms so severe that they have their own name. As a semi-arid desert, New Mexico experiences these regularly, which can wreak havoc on homes and allergies. While the state has a dry, temperate summer, its winters can bring average lows below zero for most of the state. Many people love its rugged and diverse landscape, and some surveys even cite that as a reason they might want to move there. But the numbers don't lie. New Mexico just can't attract that many new residents. Health and access to healthcare is another major problem in the state. New Mexico faces some health-related challenges, but is working to improve. While its overall health ranking is 40th in the country, efforts are being made to address issues like access to healthcare, which currently ranks 38th. Life expectancy in the state is 78 years, slightly below the national leader, Hawaii, but this shows room for growth. There are unique health concerns within indigenous communities, highlighting areas where targeted support could make a positive difference. On the positive side, New Mexico has reduced food insecurity by 36% over the last few years, which increases health in the population. They also have a higher than average number of healthcare providers, so if you are planning or not planning on moving to New Mexico, be sure to come healthy. And the biggest reason behind the low population density is the poor infrastructure. New Mexico ranks 48th in clean air and drinking water, with most of that being attributed to water. Due to inadequate state and local funding, 56% of major roads and highways in New Mexico are in poor or mediocre conditions. 5% of New Mexico's bridges are rated in poor or structurally deficient condition. Additional car maintenance charges of over $900 per person is a result of badly paved roads and poor infrastructure. New Mexico does manage to snag the top spot in one unexpected category. The section of I-25 that runs through the state has been named the worst road to drive on, even in clear weather. With some work, maybe this could turn into a win for better, safer roads down the line. Surprisingly, more than 5,000 people decided to call New Mexico home last year. Of course, with over 4,000 leaving, the gains aren't exactly staggering.